Welcome back to Outdoors with Larry Ray, brought to you proudly by Tennessee Wildlife Resource Agency, Barton Power Sports, Sportsman's Warehouse, and Best Care Home Services.
Good Saturday morning, everybody. Once again, it is Outdoors with Larry Ray, brought to you from the spacious ESPN 790 studios in Memphis, Tennessee. Also coming to you on 95.3 for the good people in Brownsville, Tennessee, and for you folks in Jackson, 101.5. Everything you want to know about outdoors, you can find on the Outdoors with Larry Ray show. So, without further ado, the one and only, the newly crowned and dubbed Oracle of the Outdoors, Larry Ray.
This is getting good. This is really getting good. You know, it's hard to be humble when you're on this show, and you have one of your sponsors doing that. It really makes me feel good, Frank. You're a very good job. Once you got my name out, it was okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
I think you're going to move up in the rankings.
Maybe.
I think it's more dripping with dew than,
No, it's with no further ado, we'll talk to Tom Moorman now. So that'll kind of help us get off. We're really glad to have Tom on with us this morning. He is the DU chief scientist, and recently got a lot of numbers came rolling out. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service about their May and June surveys, and of course I've always said I'd like to be in that plane and count that 4.1 million that they have on there. But first of all, good morning, Tom. How you doing?
Good morning, Larry. How are you doing? I didn't know I was going to be talking to an oracle, man.
Oh no, I'm an oracle. You know, I'm really not here. Well, my wife says I'm not all here, but I just got back from the Pigeon Forge area from the mountains, so give me a break here now. You know, we're back. We're talking waterfowl on September the 1st. Isn't that what better subject to talk about, right?
None for me.
All right. Well, let's talk now. I know last year Tom slipped in and took that position as chief scientist from Scott Yake, and of course before that, I think our good friend Bruce Batt was in there, and then of course we love, Paul Schmidt has been a long time supporter of the show. All you folks at DU, people, if you have not stopped by the DU headquarters off Walnut Grove, shame on you. Just look at the big duck sign, pull in there, and spend some time. You can spend some time in meditation, just thinking of past duck exploits and things. And Tom, I know you and your. Let's talk numbers here. And my waterfowl chief over here, who I love to waterfowl hunt with, he is my guru of waterfowl hunting because I know I'm always going to be taken care of when I hunt with Frank Barton, because I know he'll have some nice equipment to get me to wherever I'm going to hunt and everything. But let's talk about numbers here. They came out. They're here. It looks like we're all a little low from last year, but well over the long-term average. So you've seen these numbers. Chunk them back at us and give us your take on them.
Yeah, this year, every year on the prairies is a little bit different. And this year, I guess I've been up there 3 or 4 times over the course of the past year, and we could see it getting drier, particularly in the Dakotas and up into Saskatchewan. So if you study the survey closely, you'll see that particularly in the eastern Dakotas and throughout Saskatchewan, the pond counts were significantly lower, and correspondingly, most of the species of waterfowl dropped a bit in population. Some of them dropped statistically significantly. Gadwalls, that's kind of the core of gadwall breeding habitat up there in that central part of the prairies, and so we saw a pretty good drop in
47%, is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
That's a startling number.
Well, it is, but, folks should, I guess to put this in context, from year to year, it's not unusual to see a drop like this. The startling thing, I think, for most people is we just haven't had one like this in quite a series of years, right?
Yes.
And so what I would tell hunters in the Mid-South is, number one, don't panic. Because waterfowl populations overall are still really healthy. As you noted earlier, almost all the species are above long-term average with the exception of 2. Pintails continue to struggle, and lesser scaup or bluebills, they continue to struggle a bit. All the other species are still pretty abundant. And so what I would expect this year reduced production, but there will still be some production. It is not a total bust on the prairies by any stretch, but it's also not going to be one of those banner years. And so I think the fall flight will be, relatively speaking, it'll still be okay. I think it'll be enjoyable. And, the caveat, as always, in the Mid-South and even further south than that is if we get the weather, right? We need that cold weather to drive them on down. And we got it last year.
We got it last year. And, again, we're talking to Tom Moorman. He is the DU chief scientist, and both of my co-hosts are avid waterfowl hunters. And so I'll ask Frank first, since he's got the figures there, Frank. And what does anything you want to ask Tom?
Us folks in Arkansas only, they're mallards and everything else is a scrap duck is how most of us look at it in Arkansas. So the mallards are 12% lower than last year.
Yep.
So is that 12%? Is that worth worrying about, or is that just don't put that in mind?
Yeah, I would say, again, putting it in perspective from year to year to year, a decline of 10 or 12%, that's probably not something hunters will really significantly notice. If, assuming we get the weather and we got the birds, hunters in the Mid-South probably won't notice that. Now, what they might notice this year is that there's going to be more adults in the population, so the birds might be a little tougher to decoy for some folks.
Yeah.
Of course, if you get in the right spot where the birds want to be, which is the magic part of being on the X, right?
Yeah.
If you're on the X, it probably won't matter.
Well, I know I've looked at, I love long-term forecasts. When I see a weatherman do a 10-day forecast, I'm saying, come on, give me 1 day and let me know what's happening, But the Farmer's Almanac, believe it or not, I read that, and they are predicting below average temperatures, above average SNOW, which I love for it to snow and things along that line. But we would like for the ducks to stop off for a while on their way to Louisiana and not just wave and go by. And I know Frank, from his perspective of duck hunting, there is no such thing as too bad of weather.
Well, I'm not quite certain about that.
Okay.
We went out and
you want water, you want rain, you want some cold weather.
But we tried to hunt one time in 9-degree weather with everything frozen up, and that wasn't. We didn't do a whole lot of good. So we scratched that itch, and we went out there in single-digit weather. Now we know not to do it again. But if it's raining, that's fine.
Well, we just want some, and I know from Dave Gabbard's perspective, hunting at the Taj Mahal. And, Tom, I don't know if you've ever been privileged to make it up to Halls, Tennessee. They need to get you up there and hunt. How many people can that hunt?
We can shoot 19 guns.
19 guns at one time. Now, that bird doesn't look very good after all of them hit it, So, but, again, Dave, it all imagines it's all about weather.
It is all about weather, but, and we have, and it's funny, we have the equipment that when it gets, down below the sub-freezing temperatures, we got the ice heaters, and we'll keep them powered,
Yeah, there's things now that we didn't have
24 hours straight,
And I know that when Tom was growing up, I don't think you didn't have the ice heaters and everything like that, Tom.
But I noticed, in that area up there, that traditionally
the prairies
see a lot of gadwalls.
Yeah,
we kill a lot of gadwalls, and for some unknown reason, even though they said there was a shortage of pintails last year, they all showed up down there because it was unreal the amount of pintails we was watching, and it's funny about pintails, if you get them and they swing one time. It's fine if they swing close enough second time. You better do it because they're not going to come back the third time.
But very rarely.
Not going to give you that chance.
Dave speaks the truth.
Yeah, he does, and so does Tom. So, Tom, what do we – I know it's the 1st of September here, but we're waterfowl hunters 12 months a year. I know I hear that from my friends, and They always they say, want more waterfowl news on your show. Golly, it's September. It's so reach into your bag of tricks and what do you think? What do you think about 2018-2019 season?
I honestly think that it's going to be, again, with the caveat that we get a break on the weather, I think it's going to be pretty good because populations are still pretty high. I mean, they're significantly above long term. They did decline a bit, so the young year will be a little less abundant, which, the warrior birds, the adult birds will be a little more abundant in the population. So if you're time to brush up on your calling and get your game sharp on that so you can talk to the adult ducks and convince them that you're real.
That's it.
I think it's going to be, generally speaking, okay if we get the weather. And
okay. I love that. I love that. What else?
Folks shouldn't overlook here. We got a teal season, and I think Tennessee might still have that early wood duck season.
Yeah, we still.
You really got it. Coming up.
Yeah.
I could spend a whole show on that early wood duck season of the memories I have and unusual things that happen. But we really appreciate you, Tom, taking time to be with us. It seems like only yesterday that you were down there in the southern region as the head, and if I'm not mistaken, you played a big part in that Gulf Coast oil spill response team back in 2010. It seemed like just 5 years ago. That's been a while ago. And buddy, I appreciate the work that you do for DU.
Absolutely. As always, year-to-year populations, they'll go up, they'll go down. But as hunters, we need to keep our eye on the long term and on the habitat conditions on the prairies. So conservation up there matters. So get out there and get your duck stamp. That helps.
There you go.
Ducks Unlimited, that helps too, man.
And you won't be long till we'll be seeing those flyway reports and everything. And you can go to the DU website and pick up all the information you ever wanted to get about waterfowl. Thank Tom. We'll talk to you again. Stay in touch, and when it gets close to time, and we'll realize that all those ducks we're killing, we can say that Tom predicted it. Okay.
Well, I hope I'm right. We'll see.
All right, Tom. Thank you, buddy. Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, sir. See you later.
Yeah. All right. Let's take a break. Come back, and now let's talk a little what's going on over in Arkansas. Frank Barton's end of the world.
This will be fun.
This will be fun. Be right back.